Knock to Mr. Shore's door. Please knock again. Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved immortal beings, and good-looking people. Remember, you're good-looking because you're always looking for and finding the good. You found good in abundance. You tuned in consciously and conscientiously to Hug America podcast. This is the most upbeat, interesting, transformational podcast on the entire internet. Now, how can you make that categorical statement, Barry? Because it's true. We love speaking truth. Now, I also mentioned to you two things. Number one, my dear partner, who is not here this morning because he's traveling and doing some great stuff out in the world. And his name is Neal Foard, Foard. And he is America's greatest storyteller. So you got to keep tuning in because he's a wondrous being. And he gives over some really fascinating and right to the tummy, into the soul stories that make you wake up, smile, and maybe even laugh, which we're going to talk about today. And the other is Barry Shore, the ambassador of joy. Notice I didn't say the ambassador of joy. I said the ambassador of joy. And you tuned in because you are a good-looking person. Now, what's the definition of a good-looking person? Someone who's always looking for and finding the good in life. This is the essential aspect of living in joy daily, no matter the circumstances. And there are a lot of circumstances. I'm going to actually date this show. Today is the 9th of November, and the year is 2023 on the what we'll call the universal calendar. Many different people still have their own calendars, as I think we discussed in previous times. But the important thing is that this is a date, November 9th, 2023. It's actually quite a momentous day in history over the past 100 years. So many events have occurred. I'm going to focus on one, though, and that is that today, November 9th, is the day that is leading up to November 11th. You say, well, of course, Barry, 9, then 10, then 11. November 11th is one of the most important days in the calendar. It should be for most people, because it was on the 11th day of the 11th month, the 11th hour, that we thought all war was going to cease. That's it. That's right. It was the conclusion, the cessation of killing of what has been deemed the First World War. Now, by the way, just as a definition, it wasn't called the First World War when it was concluded. It was called the Great War or the World War, because it was great in the most awful sense. But the interesting part here is that when you call something the First World War, that was only done in retrospect, because if something is the first, that means there's a second, right? You don't have a first without a second. So it was known as the Great War, the Awful War, the World War. And it was concluded on the 11th of November, so the 11th day of the 11th month, at the 11th hour, cessation, no more killing. And that's what the world wanted to believe. European nations made a decision, especially the combatants, that no longer would they use killing as the method of resolving disputes. Empire. It was a time of change in the world. Now, we all know, we laugh about it today, or again, laughter is what we're talking about. We laugh about it because, well, that only lasted for about 20 years, because it was in 1918, 11th day, 11th month, 11th hour, in the year of 1918, that war was over at that moment. And yet 20 years later, 21 years later, 1939, September 1st, 1939, the world was in upheaval again, cataclysmic upheaval, when Nazi Germany invaded Poland, September 1st, 1939. Germany invaded Poland, moving from the west to the east. Russia invaded Poland, moving from the east into the west. Two malign forces were both invading a free democratic government and turned the world upside down again. Because these isms were built on a foundation of evil, of dissension, of causing harm in the world. Now, of course, they thought that they were doing good work. Communism thought it was the answer to the world's problems. It wasn't. It was the problem. Nazism, which is National Socialism, you hear that? National Socialism thought it was the answer to the world's problems. It certainly was not. Fascism in Italy thought it was the answer to the world's problems. It wasn't. Militarism in Japan thought it was the answer to the world's problems because Japan would run, at least Asia, the greater co-prosperity sphere, economic sphere. No, these isms are not the answer. Just as radical Islamism is not an answer. It is the problem. It is evil. And it's proven itself to be evil time and again over the past 60, 70, 80 years since the founding of the Muslim Brotherhood and the pursuance of killing in any form whatsoever people of Jewish faith anywhere in the world, and specifically targeting the state of Israel. So everybody, I think, knows what happened on October 7th, 2023. Israel, the people of Israel, the state of Israel, but people of Israel were brutally, savagely attacked, murdered in the most barbaric ways that had not been recounted since the time of the Nazis, of the communists, of the fascists, of the Japanese militarists, when death lived in the world. Okay, that's an introduction. Barry, this is the Hug America podcast. Yes. Today's theme, interestingly enough, is laughter. Laughter? Wait a minute. Thus far, you've not made me laugh, Barry. Well, okay, I'm just giving an introduction. Because for people of sound mind and sound body, people who do want to live in harmony, people who do want to live in joy, in happiness, in peace, and in love, we need to find the mechanism to combat evil on the most powerful way. Yes, one of the ways that you combat evil, there's no question about it, is to use greater power against the opposing people. These are not people. These are two-legged beings posing as humans. I'll say it again. They're two-legged beings posing as humans. So one must fight against that with every weapon possible. Now, some of the regular weapons are, yes, lethal. Anything that we have that's lethal, that can take out the nasty beings, is to our advantage. There is a power, two powers greater than that. One is the collective power of prayer. Now, for people who don't really understand that prayer is a power, I don't want you to be laughing at me. I want you to laugh with me. Prayer is the most powerful weapon that we have to combat the evil that exists in today's world, and by the way, will always exist until right is in the world. And right means eliminating evil first, finding a mechanism to channel positive, purposeful, powerful, pleasant energy and thoughts to people, as opposed to the kinds of evil indoctrination that people have been subjected to, certainly in the area that are called Gaza or the West Bank or throughout the Muslim world. These are malign influences that are causing anger because they are based on envy and directed against people for saying, well, you're doing better than me. How come? I mean, why should I not have what you have? Maybe the other people are working harder, maybe working smarter, maybe not held back by beliefs that inherently say, well, you understand you're oppressed? When you live with a world of oppressed and oppressor, and that is the Marxist theory of life, then you're never going to be able to break through that. And that's what has infected and affected people in the United States of America, especially people under the age of 28. So let's talk about laughter, because laughter is a powerful mechanism. The power of prayer is the most powerful mechanism in the world to eradicate evil. But one must use any physical means possible to fight and combat the evil and not relent. Do not relent. The evil must be wiped out. Oh, let's talk about laughter because it is a great medicine. I'll give you two examples. One is during the time of World War II. Remember, there was the First World War and the Second World War. Second World War was basically from 1939 till 1945. There were many, many instances, primarily in the United States of America, because the United States of America was shouldering the greatest responsibility of battling the evil in the world. Remember, the evil in the world was encompassed in fascism, Nazism, communism, militarism, radical Islam. Yes, radical Islam was around then also. It was incumbent upon the United States, with our broad shoulders and our capabilities as the greatest, most powerful nation in the world, to use all of our positive, purposeful, powerful, pleasant energy to produce those things that are necessary to battle the enemy and eradicate them. So it was a time when Charlie Chaplin, if you don't know the name, look him up. Charlie Chaplin was one of the most famous, if not the most famous, movie star in the world, and he was a great satirist. He was a master of the ability to utilize film and ideas to find the root of the evil and root it out. And it was just wonderful. He made movies around those themes. In addition to that, there were so many songs that were made up about getting the evil people. And there were so many musicals that were done about getting rid of the evil beings. And it became a way to coalesce using laughter and upbeat and pointing a finger at the ridiculousness of fascism and Nazism and communism and militarism and radical Islam. And we were winning. It took years. From 1939 till 1945. It cost millions of people's lives. Tremendous amounts of treasure and such. And yet, what happened? The world emerged from that darkness a much better, a much safer world. And that world was basically safe, almost safe, for 75, 80 years. From 1945 until 2023. Yes, intermittent. There were battles raging and wars and things like Vietnam and Korea and places around the world. However, the ability to use laughter was a fundamental, positive, purposeful, powerful, pleasant way of dealing with an enemy that was entrenched in the hearts and minds of people who want to serve evil. I'm telling you, there are people who want to serve evil. And of course, they think they're doing the right thing. They're not. Because when you're serving evil, you're serving death. Death is not a positive. Death is the opposite of life. Well, you say, Barry, sure. Hello, of course, death is the opposite of life. Not to everybody. Matter of fact, today, radical Islam says they celebrate death. We want to help them celebrate it with their own. Let's talk about laughter. Laughter. It's such a funny word and a fun word. Laughter. If you're going to spell laughter and you're just going to spell it out phonetically, I think we'd all spell it Laughter. or even more, Laffter, laughter. Okay. But it's not. It's an odd spelling because English is a fascinating language. It's an amalgam of so many different roots and languages and such like that. And I am remiss, and I should have looked it up first and told you where the root is. But I want to make mention of something fascinating. Laughter, Laughther. So let's do something right now. I'm going to urge everybody, and there are thousands and thousands and thousands of you watching. We want to urge you to do two things. Number one, share this with 5 people. You hear that? That's it. 5. We have almost 10,000 people listening. Share it with 5 people. You want to do 50, 100,000, that's up to you. But at least 5 people you care about, or even 1, 2 that you don't care about. Share it with them. So we'll have touched 50,000 people. Let's do a 17 second laughter. Ready? From the belly, out loud, whatever you want to do, but laugh. There we go. 17 seconds, beginning right now. Oh, 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 it's not easy laughing for 17 seconds in a row, is it? I urge you to consider something. I beg of you, I plead with you. Once a day, one time a day, from now and the rest of your life, laugh for at least 9 seconds. He didn't say 17, didn't even say 10. 9 seconds. Laugh deeply. Make yourself laugh. Find a mechanism to make yourself laugh. Tickle yourself. Have somebody else tickle you. Watch something that you know will make you laugh. 9 seconds every day. I work with a lot of people and doing helping analyze situations and making them better. People call it coaching. I call it life. And I work with people that are on paper, they're extremely successful in terms of making money and running organizations, and even family life. It looks on paper, they're great. And I remember asking recently to one particular woman and a man. There was a woman and then was a man, about 3 months apart. When was the last time you laughed out loud? And I'm telling you, both of these people, different times, highly successful on paper. One of them says, I don't remember the last time. The other one said, it's been 4 days, because they remembered the last time they laughed. Imagine going 4 days without laughing. Hello? Can you imagine going 4 days without going to the bathroom? Ah! That's constipation, baby. Yeah, well, that's the same that happens to your physical, mental, spiritual being if you're not laughing. I'm talking 9 seconds. Okay, let's do 2 things. I'm going to tell you a fun story. No, I'm going to tell you about a word, and then I'll tell you a fun story. So the word is laughter, Laughther. I want you to take that word and put an S, the letter S, in front of laughter. And notice what happens. Oh my gosh, look at that. Slaughtr. The word changes completely. Not only the pronunciation, but the meaning. You went from laughter to slaughter. Slaughter? How did that happen? I don't know the origins of the sounds and such like that. All I'm showing you is something that I've noticed, and it was taught to me actually 47 years ago. 47 years ago, a great English teacher that I had. She was discussing with the class about words and letters and using and interchanging that. And she showed us laughter. And he said, let's put the S in front of it. Slaughter. Oh my gosh, how did that happen? Well, that's what's going on right now. People are being slaughtered. Now, I'm not talking about politics. We're talking about people that were being slaughtered in the most inhumane way. Heads cut off. Babies shot. Sliced open mothers and stuff. It's hard to speak about it. But it's also what happens when you don't laugh, you're slaughtering your soul. You want to nourish the deepest, most positive, purposeful, powerful, pleasant essence of you. That's your soul. Your very soul wants to be expansive. That's what laughter does. Laughter is an expansive process. Slaughter is a contracting process. When you contract and shrivel up, you're not going to be helpful to you, family, friends, or the world. And everybody wants that. As I say, I'm regularly when I do my podcast, I talk about being happy, happier, healthier, wealthier. You want to be happier, healthier, and wealthier? Laugh. Laughter is expansive. Smiling is expansive. Joy is expansive. Evil, hate, death, those contract. Those do not bring about any good in the world. I'll say it again. Those things that contract do not bring about any good in the world. They cause stress, undue negative stress. There's good stress in the world, but you don't want that. You need and want to laugh. Did you hear that? I said need to laugh. So let's tell you a story. I hope it makes you laugh. I think it will. I was involved with radio when I was 16 years old. Yeah, it was 16 years old. So that goes back. Those of you watching, I can tell you, you see my white beard in here. I'm 74 chronologically. So that goes back almost 60 years, 58 years or so. And if you're listening, you just heard it 58 years ago. It was a different world, obviously. And I was involved with underground radio because that's really what it was. It was a low frequency, a low wattage radio from a college. And these were underground radio stations because they were underground. They were in the basement of universities. And many of them still are, by the way, around the country. So I was given the opportunity to have a show, my own show. Can you imagine that? 16 years old. And I was doing what I'm doing now, which is speaking to people. I had no idea if I was speaking to one person or I was speaking to 1,000, or I don't think the wattage would have, I think we reached maybe 10,000 people maximum if you could pick it up. So I had a show and I was thinking, what could I do that would be interesting and original? So I'd done a couple of shows. I got some feedback and it was interesting, but nothing was really clicking, making a difference. And I decided I'm going to do something. I'm going to do something called naked radio. I hope you're laughing. Naked radio. So I came into the station. It was a Thursday night, and I think it was on from 9 p.m. to 9:30. And I said, okay, hi, everybody. Barry Shore here, and welcome to Naked Radio. I am sitting here behind the microphone. I am stark naked, and I'm talking to you, and we're going to tell some stories and some jokes and such like that. And I just wanted you to know how good it feels to sit here in the basement. And it's kind of hot in here because we don't have air conditioning in those days. And fully naked. And I love it. It was really wonderful. And so I'm going on about being naked and talking about things about the body and nudity. Of course, I wasn't using 4-letter words and things like that, but just enjoying myself and having fun with the whole process. Well, I can tell you, maybe 14 minutes go by and there's a knock on the door, the station door. Open up, police. Now, I was in Boston, Massachusetts. And if you don't know where Boston is, you can do a Google, look it up. Boston, Massachusetts. Boston's an interesting city. In those days, almost all policemen, we call them cops, all policemen were Irish, predominantly, not everybody, but Irish and men, and usually fairly large, bulky. And there were two of them knocking on my door. I didn't know. I could see something because there was a little window and metal door and such. Knocking on the door saying, open up, please, open up. Wow. Now, I didn't have an engineer. So I had to get up from the the chair and walk over to the door and open it up. And all the while I'm telling people what's going on. I said, wow, this is amazing. The police are here. I hope everything is okay. And, maybe it's not a fire or something was going on. And went back to sit down. They said, just a minute there. I said, yes, sir, officer, because I was raised in a good household. We got a complaint. We got several complaints, actually. They told us you were doing naked radio. Yes, that's the name of the show I'm doing today, Naked. Well, we thought you were naked. And I was completely dressed. And it didn't compute. They didn't understand what was going on. I said, well, yeah, I'm calling it naked radio, and I'm talking as if I'm naked, but I'm not naked. I'm fully clothed. They said, well, that's not what people are hearing. You hear this? That's not what people are hearing. They're thinking he's naked. And I was just about to introduce a friend of mine who just came in just after the police came in, and she's a very attractive young woman. And I was telling people, about to introduce her and telling her that we're going to be naked together and doing declinations. So if you look that up, it's a term in grammar. And I said, we're going to do that in front on the floor together. And again, making fun. And the police people they had this quizzical look on their faces and say, well, keep it clean. I mean, just tell people that you're dressed. And I said, well, that wouldn't be fun, would it? And they started laughing, and they got the joke. And they said, just don't do this again. Okay. Just leave it. We don't want to have to come back here. I said, okay, thank you so much, officers. And they left. But to me, it was one of the greatest moments I'm 16, one of the greatest moments I ever had in my then 16 years, and still to this day. Why? Because it's what people hear. It's what people think, people's imagination. And you have to learn how to utilize the best of what you have. Your thoughts, your words, and your deeds, you want to align them all in good. You want to make sure that there's goodness in your life. You want to make sure there's laughter in your life. You want to make sure your life is about being expansive. You want to make sure that you're bringing joy and happiness and peace and love in the world. And the world is raging. It's on fire. There's so much that evil is trying to do to upset people of goodwill. Be of good will. Be of good cheer. Learn history. Read what's really true, what's going on. You don't want to be on the side of two-legged beings that are posing as humans that want to kill people, want to annihilate people. That's not what you want to do. And it's all based on these false, terrible, soul-destroying ideas. Radical Islam, it's a soul-destroying idea. And it's based in Marxism, a soul-destroying idea. Based in communism, a soul-destroying idea. National Socialism, a soul-destroying idea. Fascism, a soul-destroying idea. Militarism, a soul-destroying idea. You make a difference. I urge everybody, we want you to go MAD. MAD stands for make a difference. You want to make a difference in this life? Do it this way. Think about laughing 9 seconds every single day of your life. At least. You want to laugh for more? That's up to you. You want to do it twice a day, 3 times a day? It's up to you. But at least one time every single day. 9 seconds. You do that, and you're going to be on the pathway to spread more happiness and more light in the world. Light is the greatest power against darkness. Prayer is the greatest power against darkness. Right now, yes, we must use weapons to combat the evil ones that have weapons. Once that's done, then we can begin to build. And again, you're going to build with the thoughts and the words and the deeds. We want to build in goodness. So our blessing from wonderful Neal and Barry is go forth. Live exuberantly. Spread the seeds of joy, happiness, peace, and love. Go mad. Go make a difference.